Welcome to Mr. Holloway's Foundational Java Skills Series. In this video, we're going to talk about the super method call as well as overriding methods. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And class is now in session. All right, so let's talk about what we currently have. So if you've been watching this little mini series on inheritance, I have a video on that. So if you don't know what inheritance is, I would suggest that you go back to the previous video, as well as if you don't know what a class is, I also have some videos on that as well. But if you're in the right place, let's get started. So right now we have a shape class, which is the parent class. It has one attribute, it has a constructor, and it has one method. As we go to the circle class, this is a child class because it extends shape. So we learned that the extends basically means that this is going to be a child class and it's going to inherit whatever's inside of here. And in this class, we have one attribute, we have a constructor, and we have one method. All right, now let's go back to here. So this was from the previous video. We have a circle. So we're basically going to create a circle called C1. We're going to add a string as an argument and an integer. And then we're going to say C1.displayColor, which is coming from the shape class. Right? So we're going to print that out. It's going to print the color, so it should print out green. And then we're going to say C1.myCircleMethod, and it's going to call this. Now, the reason why we can call this method is because it is the circle. We're making a circle. So this is a circle, and this is the circle class, but it does not have a method called displayColor. But because the circle that we're creating inherits from the shape class, we can call this method. All right, so let's just run this and see what we get. And as you can see, we got shape created because we're inheriting here, and so we get the shape created. We assign the color. Run that again. We think I lost it. Let's run this again. So we get the display color, which is going to be green, and then we call the circle method, my circle method, and we print out the size, which should be 0. Or 10, is it 10? Okay, yeah, because it's 10 because we actually put 10 in there, okay? So that's where we get all this. Now, what I want to do is I want to eliminate these two calls right here. So what I want to do with this is use the super keyword to call a method. And the way we're going to do that is like this. So what I'm going to do is come back here. We're going to call this from the circle method. And what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate two calls. So with the super keyword, what we can do is I can say, I'm going to say super dot. Okay. So what I'm saying now is that, hey, compiler, I want access to the whatever method in the superclass. So I need access to something in the superclass. So in this case, we want access to display color. So we're going to call this here. And it should be color. And so that will allow us to run to have access and call this directly. So we can call the display color directly. So now we can get rid of this. And so now what's going to happen is when we call this myCircle method, it's going to basically call this. It's going to print the size, and then it will say super.displayColor, and it will display the color. So nothing is really going to change except now we only are making one call instead of the two calls that we had. So let's go ahead and run this. Let me clear this out, and let's run this. And as you can see, let's look at the order in which this was called. So now we have a circle. We called the myCircle method. So basically it, because we're inheriting from shape, it prints this out. And then we get the size, which is this. And then we call the super, we use the super keyword to call the display color method, which is found here. And that pretty much gives us this color, which we get which is green. So this is just demonstrates, this example demonstrates how we can call methods directly from a child class using super. All right, so let's move on. We're going to do another example. So what I want to do here is I'm going to move this out. Actually, I'll get rid of this. Okay, so now what we want to do is, I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to talk about overriding methods. So let's do this. Let's have a display color method here. So we'll keep this here. And I'm just going to say display color just for example purposes. Okay. So the whole purpose is that we're going to show that we can have methods of the same name. All right. I'm going to get rid of this because what I want to demonstrate is something called overriding. So where we override a method. So what we have to do is basically, let me just make sure we have that same name. I'll display color. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. All right. So we have two methods and they are both the same name. So this is display color. This one is also named display color. So this is called overriding. So this this method right here will override whatever's in here. So it's not going to run this code in here. It's actually going to run this code here. Okay. So what I can do is, and I also need to do this. I don't necessarily have to do it, but it's actually good practice. So I'm going to say override. Okay. So override is a special word. It's similar to a comment, but it's not a comment. So what it does is it tells Java that, hey, I'm going to override the method with the same name in the parent class. If I don't, it's not going to cause any issues, but there's a couple things. The first thing is that if someone's reading your code, they will automatically know that, hey, this is an overridden method. There's another method called display color in the parent class in this case, which is here. Okay, so that's one of the important reasons, and then it also communicates with Java as well. So it's similar to a comment, but actually it's very important. Okay, so now we have an overridden method, display color. We basically have the same name, and the reason why it's overriding is because it has the same name and it's in the child class, so it's not going to run here. So let's go ahead and run this. So what I want to do is we'll do C1 and we're going to say display color. All right. So again, when we come back to the shape class, we have a display color method and we go to the circle method, a circle class, and it also has a display color method. So which one is it going to call? Well, since we're making a circle, it's going to call this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and run and see what happens. So let's look at the results. We get shape created, which is fine because this is calling the constructor here. And then we have our color, and when we display this, it says size, right? And this doesn't matter. I'm just using this for demonstration purposes. It says display color, but we're showing the size. But it's going to work. All right, so here we have 10, and this is right. So it does not display this, or the color in this case, or the variable, the attribute color. All right, so let's do another one, and let me just show you, if I just got rid of this, right, everything would still work, because now it's going to, so we no longer have a display color method. We have it in here. It's going to do this one here. And so now we get color green, which is this method right here. All right. So that is what I wanted to demonstrate to you. We went over two things. We went over, actually, I'll do the super method call, right? And then we went over overriding methods. Now, the examples that I use are very basic, They can get as complicated as we need them to be, but I really, in these videos, I like to stay as simple as possible. So we use the super call method by, let me go ahead and do this. So in this case, if we wanted to call the override and we wanted to do the super call, do a super call to display, right, we would do something like that. So basically the super keyword will give us access to any of the methods in the super class. And then we also talked about overriding, which basically when you have a method that has the same name as the parent class, we simply just put this override, which tells the compiler, hey, we're going to override a method in the parent class. It also communicates to anyone that's reading the code that, hey, this is an overridden method, and then it will use this this method here whenever we create a circle. All right, now that completes this video. I am going to move on, and in the next video we're going to talk about polymorphism. Sounds like a mouthful, but it should be pretty simple to explain, and I'll try to keep it simple. All right, that concludes this video. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and class is now dismissed.